The next process is very important. It is called as the parboiling of rice. The parboiling of rice originated in India. Two processes of parboiling are commonly followed. They are called as the conventional process and the hot soaking process. What is parboiling? நெல்ல ஊற வச்சு அதுல இருந்து புழுங்கல் அரிசி செய்யறது தான் பார்பாயிலிங். அரிசியில ரெண்டு டைப் இருக்கு. ஒன்னு ரா ரைஸ், இன்னொன்னு பார்பாயில் ரைஸ். ரா ரைஸ்னா என்ன? பச்சை அரிசி இஸ் த ரா ரைஸ் அண்ட் புழுங்கல் அரிசி இஸ் த parboiled rice. And this parboiling and the method, it originated in India, and there are two processes by which you can do parboiling. They are the conventional process and the hot soaking process. So the parboiling consists of several steps. The first step is soaking the paddy in cold water for 2 to 3 days in large cement tanks. நெல்லை எடுத்து பச்சை தண்ணியில 2 to 3 நாள் ஊற வைக்கணும். And this is usually done by soaking it in cement tanks, large cement tanks. And then steaming the paddy for 5 to 10 minutes. அதுக்கப்புறம் they are taken in large vessels and they are steamed for 5 to 10 minutes. முதல்ல நெல்லு ஊற வைக்கிறோம். ஊற வச்ச நெல்லுல இருக்கிற எக்ஸ்ட்ரா வாட்டரை ட்ரெயின் பண்ணிட்டு then it is steamed for 5 to 10 minutes. After it is steamed, there will be only very little water remaining in the large containers. That has to be drained and it should be sun dried. Sun dried na வெயில்ல காய வைக்கணும். During soaking of paddy in cold water for 2 to 3 days, sometimes fermentation may set in. And therefore, fermentation enna, because of the action of microorganisms, there will be bad smell that will develop during the soaking process. This bad smell or off flavor is due to the growth of the molds or the fungi. The next method is the hot soaking method or the hot soaking process. In the hot soaking process, this was developed by the Central Food Technological Research Institute, which we shortly called as CFTRI, that is present in Mysore. And the steps involved in the hot soaking process are soaking the paddy in water. As the name indicates, it has to be soaked in hot water at a temperature of 65 to 70 degrees centigrade for a period of 3 to 4 hours. We take hot water and in the hot water, the paddy is added and it is soaked ஊற வைக்கிறது for 3 to 4 hours. After this, water is drained. The excess water that is present in the soaked paddy is drained and it is steamed in the same vessel for about 5 to 10 minutes. So we are soaking it in hot water. After we soak in hot water for 3 to 4 hours, the excess water is drained and then it is steamed for 5 to 10 minutes. Now the paddy is dried under the sun or in mechanical dryers. Mechanical dryers are large machines that are available that are electrically operated, and you can dry it in the dryers also, or you can dry it under the sun. These are the two processes by which parboiling can be done. One is the conventional process and the next is the hot soaking process. Parboiling is done. So the soaking, steaming, drying, etc., they are all automated and it can be done automatically. You can see here the difference of the parboiled rice and the white rice. We will see later why the color of the parboiled and the white rice are different. Advantages of parboiling. Dehusking of parboiled rice is easy. When the paddy is soaked and then steamed Later it is dried. What happens? The outer portion, the hull portion of the paddy becomes loose and therefore it can be easily dehusked. The grain becomes tougher, resulting in reduced loss during milling. After we soak, we steam the uh, paddy, and during steaming there is a partial cooking taking place, which is again dried, and therefore the grain that is present will become tough. Because it becomes tough during the milling process, the loss that occurs due to breakage will be less. When we mill the raw rice and the that is when we mill the paddy as such, or when we mill the paddy after parboiling, there will be a great difference. When the paddy is milled as such, when raw paddy is milled, the breakage will be more. அரிசி உடையிறது வந்து அதிகமா இருக்கும். Whereas when it is milled after parboiling, அரிசி உடையிறது கம்மியா இருக்கும். Milled parboiled rice has greater resistance to insects and fungus. So easily there will be no insect infestation. பூச்சி வராது when the rice is parboiled. But when we store the raw rice even for about 10 days or more, what happens? You can see that there are insects in the raw rice. Whereas it is resistant to the insect infestation when the parboiling has been done. Loss of nutrients due to removal of the husk and bran in milling are decreased. So, what happens in the raw rice? The husk, bran, etc. are completely removed. But while we are parboiling, we are soaking the paddy in water. During the soaking process, the nutrients, a part of the nutrients that are present in the bran, they penetrate into the rice grains, and therefore the loss of nutrient is less in the parboiled rice when compared to the raw rice. Part of scutellum and germ that are rich in B vitamins, they get fixed to the grain, and therefore loss of B vitamins is less. Already I told you that in the germ portion, whatever nutrients are present, they will try to penetrate into the rice grain. And also the scutellum and the germ portion, they are intact in the parboiled rice. And therefore the nutrients that are present in them will also be available to us when we consume the parboiled rice. Losses of water-soluble nutrients due to washing of rice is less in parboiled rice compared to raw rice. So usually during the cooking process, we will wash the rice and then add them to water. When the raw rice is washed, the water-soluble nutrients, there will be greater loss of water-soluble nutrients. And when the parboiled rice is washed, the amount of nutrient loss will be less, because we know that most of the nutrients have penetrated into the rice grain. Parboiling improves digestibility and protein efficiency ratio is higher compared to raw rice. Because of the parboiling process, the nutrients are easily digestible. The starch that is present is easily digestible. And also, the quality of protein present in the parboiled rice is high when compared to the raw rice. Parboiled rice will not turn into a glutinous mass when it is cooked. When we cook the parboiled rice, they will not turn into a solid mass. குழஞ்சு போகாது. And they'll be grainy in appearance. The consistency will be cooked when the rice is parboiled. Parboiled rice swells more when cooked to the desired softness. அரிசி சாதம் வேகும்போது பார்பாயில்ட் ரைஸோடைய கிரெயின் சைஸ் வந்து பெருசா இருக்கும், பச்சரிசியோட கிரெயின் சைஸ் வந்து சின்னதா இருக்கும். அதனால தான் பார்பாயில்ட் ரைஸ் பார்க்கும்போது கொஞ்சம் உங்களுக்கு தடியா இருக்க மாதிரி தெரியும். இது மெலிசா இருக்கும். ரா ரைஸ் வந்து மெலிசா இருக்கும். It also stabilizes the oil content of the bran. Bran, we saw that it has a higher amount of lipid, and parboiling can stabilize the oil content of the bran, and therefore rancidity may not develop in the parboiled rice. Disadvantages are also there. Sometimes it has an unpleasant smell, hence it is not preferred. when it is allowed to soak for more amount of time, and if you do not change the water in which the paddy is soaked, what happens? There may be fungal growth, and because of fungal growth, the flavor changes in the rice may occur, and color changes may also occur during parboiling. As we saw in the earlier slide, we saw that the raw rice was white in color, whereas the parboiled rice had a dull color. So the dull color does not indicate that the quality is less, it indicates that the quality is good. It has more amount of proteins when compared with the raw rice. And if somebody asks you which rice is good, which rice is nutritious, you should be able to say that the parboiled rice has more nutrients and therefore it is nutritious when compared to raw rice. புழுங்கல் அரிசியில நிறைய nutrients இருக்கு பச்சரிசியை compare பண்ணும்போது, and therefore the parboiled rice is the best rice that we can consume since it is nutritious. Let us see the nutrient content of the different types of rice. We are taking different types of rice like brown rice, polished rice, hand pounded rice is kaikuttal arisi, and the parboiled rice is pulungal arisi. The thiamine content. Thiamine is a nutrient, B vitamin. The B vitamin content thiamine in the brown rice is 320 microgram per 100 gram, whereas in polished rice, there is a big loss or difference. It is only 15. In the hand pounded rice, it is 66 micrograms. And in the parboiled rice, you can see that the content is higher than the hand pounded rice, which is 72. Riboflavin, vitamin B2, is 156 in the brown rice, 156 microgram per 100 gram. It is only 35 in the polished rice. Hand pounded rice contains 87 microgram per 100 gram, and the parboiled rice contains 66 microgram per 100 gram. Niacin content is 4600 in the brown rice, while it has drastically reduced. It is only 37 in polished rice, 85 in hand pounded rice, and 83 in the parboiled rice. Folic acid content is 36 micrograms per 100 gram in the brown rice, which has reduced in the polished rice 22. A hand pounded rice has 60 microgram, and the parboiled rice has only 30 microgram. So when we analyze this table, we will find that the brown rice is the best. That is, the சிவப்பு அரிசி is the best. It contains plenty of B vitamins. And the next best will be the parboiled rice. We have seen the staple foods. What are staple foods? Staple foods are the foods that are consumed in a large scale. Pradana unavu da vandu we call them as the staple food. So the staple food is wheat and rice. They are the staple food. But apart from that, we also consume millets. What are millets? Sirudhaniyangal. They are called as the millets. So the millets, they are the hardy plants. They are capable of growing in areas where there is low rainfall and poor irrigation facilities. These millets, they can grow in areas where there is less amount of rainfall. மானாவாரி பயிர் அப்படின்னு சொல்றது, அதாவது மழை பெஞ்சா வளரும், அதுதான் வந்து they are called as millets, and it requires only less amount of water, so it can grow in areas even where there is very less rainfall. And even if you don't have irrigation facilities, the millets will be capable of growing. Apart from maize and sorghum, that is cholam, major millet crops of India are the pearl millet called as the bajra is kambu, and finger millet, it is known as the ragi. So இந்த ராகி பயிர் பாத்தீங்கன்னா மேல அப்படியே fingers மாதிரி இருக்கும், so it is called as the finger millet. These are the millets that are commonly cultivated in India apart from rice and wheat. Ragi is a very nutritious millet. It constitutes about 25% of the food grains grown in India, and it is consumed generally by the poorer section of the population. So people who are poor, who are below the required or who have a low socio-economic status generally consume ragi because they are cheaply available. Nutritionally, it is almost as good as or even better than wheat and rice. Though it is cheaply available, but these days it is not cheap because people have become aware of the millets. People have started consuming millets, and the price of ragi also is increased in the market. But nutritionally, when we compare the nutrients present in ragi, wheat, and rice, we find that ragi has more nutrients when compared to wheat as well as rice. You can see the ragi crop, and this is how the ragi appears. The ragi grains, they appear like this. They are small, brown in color, and they are spherical. The major protein present in ragi are the prolamine and the glutalin. These are the proteins present in ragi and are adequate in all the essential amino acids. So they contain all the essential amino acids that are required in a protein. It is a rich source of calcium. So among the different cereals, ragi is the richest source of calcium. It will provide plenty of calcium and fiber. It is also rich in phytate and tannin, and hence it will interfere with the mineral availability. So what will happen? The ragi is rich in calcium, but at the same time it is also rich in phytate. Sometimes the phytate and the tannin will bind the calcium and make it unavailable. It will interfere with the mineral availability. It also contains B vitamins, but it is poor in riboflavin, which is B2. The next millet that is largely consumed by the Indian population is bajra. It is the predominant crop in India. It has the same quantity of protein like that of wheat. Wheatல எந்த அளவு protein இருக்கோ அதே quantity of protein is present in bajra also. The protein contains a high proportion of prolamine followed by globulin and albumin. So these are the proteins that are present in bajra: prolamine, globulin, and albumin. Among the amino acids, tryptophan content is high and lysine is low. In bajra, tryptophan is high, lysine is low. And it is also rich in iron, thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. So iron is a mineral. Thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin are the B vitamins. So they are rich in minerals and also the B vitamins. You can see here the bajra that is grown in the field, and these are the bajra grains.